I didn't see him come in.
Mary's out there talking to somebody.
John Scott was still there. Back in the old building. Took me a year or two to get back. And here when it first started. I think you're sick, it would push you too far. Get all flustered. And then it would stop. And we'd do something, and you'd push them again, and then they'd go back and say, well, let's do this, and then they'd go, well, let's see what, and they wouldn't get. 5 years.
No.
Not there?
No.
I'll just text him.
Maybe you forgot.
Might need to rejig that just a bit.
Yep.
Yeah. He knows, because I talked to Rebecca today.
Okay.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this session of Quispamsis Town Council for November 18th, 2025. I'd like to call this meeting to order at 6 o'clock. May I have an approval of the agenda, please? Deputy Mayor Scryer. May I have a seconder? Second. Moved by Deputy Mayor Scryer, seconded by Councillor Olson on the question. Please vote. Motion carried 7-0. Land acknowledgement and moment of reflection. Councillor Donovan, please.
We would like to respectfully acknowledge the Quispamsis exists on the traditional territory of the Wolastoqiyik, Maliseet, and Mi'kmaq people, whose ancestors, along with the Passamaquoddy tribe, signed peace and friendship treaties with the British Crown in the 1700s. We would like to take this moment to pay respect to the elders, past and present, and the descendants of this traditional territory. And may we remind ourselves of the important work we have before us tonight. May we make good decisions without prejudice or bias, and always in the best interests of our community, which we are here to serve.
Thank you, Councillor Donovan. I'd like to begin my remarks tonight by thanking everyone who participated in the official KV Remembrance Day ceremony at the Qplex, the outdoor ceremony in Rosse, or any other ceremony around our region. These ceremonies can be somber, moving, and emotional, but they are always well attended. This year was no different. It is so important that we continue to remember and honor the contributions of these brave Canadians, some of whom have been neighbors, friends, and relatives from your own neighborhood. Thank you to everyone who attended and to our staff who worked diligently to prepare the Qplex to host our local ceremony. I also want to thank everyone who took the opportunity to try KV Go over the last 3 months. The KV Go demonstration project tested a local public transit solution with buses running in Quispamsis and Rosse 7 days a week. Organizers in both communities have entered the evaluation phase, and after hearing from riders throughout the project, they would now like to hear from those of you who did not take the bus. Take our KV Go non-rider survey at kvgo.org. Share your thoughts on the service, reasons for not riding, and what kind of service may get you on board next time. The survey deadline is December 16th. We have received notice that the Alert Ready Emergency Alert System will be conducting a test on Wednesday, tomorrow, November 19th at 10:55 a.m. The Alert Ready system sends messages to your electronic devices for things like Amber Alerts, forest fires, and other emergencies. Messages are often accompanied by a loud notification on your cell phone, tablet, or television. The test will run throughout New Brunswick. Quispamsis is seeking an interested community member to serve on the Kennebecasis Public Library Board. The board is responsible for oversight of the financial management of the library, including its assets, contracts, groundskeeping, fundraising, and advocacy. To serve on a town committee, there's an application process that helps our nominating committee select a candidate. More information and a link to our town committee application can be found in the News and Notices section of our website, quispamsis.ca. The deadline for applications is Friday, December 5th at 5 p.m. Tomorrow is a very, very special day in Quispamsis as we hold our annual Christmas tree lighting at the Arts and Culture Park. Our staff have spent countless hours organizing the decorations, displays, and thousands of LED lights for this year's Holiday Dreamland display. Light refreshments will be available, so be sure to bring a travel mug to enjoy a hot beverage. Don't forget, Santa will also make a special appearance to hear holiday wishes just a few weeks ahead of his big flight. The tree lighting will take place tomorrow night here at the Town Hall at 6:30, and the lights will be on display through the start of 2026. I hope the Quispamsis Holiday Dreamland enhances the holiday season for everyone. And another holiday favorite is coming soon. The 27th annual KV Santa Claus Parade is Saturday, November 29th, beginning at 6 p.m. The parade starts at Kennebecasis Valley High School and runs along the Hampton Road to the Clark Road and Mar Road intersection in Rossay. There is a sensory-friendly area between Autumn Avenue and Pinewood Crescent where sirens, horns, and flashing lights are not permitted. The Sobeys float will be collecting non-perishable food donations for the KV Food Basket. This year's theme is The Lights of Christmas. Organizations, groups, and businesses can register to participate through the KV Santa Claus Parade Facebook, but don't wait any longer. The deadline to register is tomorrow. That's Wednesday, November 19th. And finally, with holiday preparations in full swing, a few reminders. First, please slow down in our subdivisions. With children walking to and from school and bus stops in the dark, there is the risk of them slipping in winter conditions and sliding into traffic. Also, ensure that any basketball or hockey nets in front of your home on municipal property be removed as snowplow operations begin. Please ensure that any holiday decorations around your home and property do not impede the vision of motorists and pedestrians in our community. And please, place driveway markers several feet back from the end of your driveway to allow for snowplows to clear roads safely and efficiently. Markers placed too close to the road can be knocked loose by snowplows and possibly cause injuries to people and pets. They can also damage your property and the town's snow clearing equipment. That's all for tonight. We will see you tomorrow right outside Town Hall at 6:30 as we count down for the lighting of the Quispamsis Christmas lights. So thank you, and we hope to see you there. There'll be lots of counselors, there'll be treats for the children, and certainly the staff have done a fabulous job in setting up the lights and all the decorations. So moving forward, I'm looking for a disclosure of interests. Now we'll go to presentations. If I may have council's agreement to this, can we move Mr. Beckett for Envision St. John forward? And then when the chief arrives, we'll have his presentation. So Mr. Beckett, welcome to the town of Quispamsis. Mr. Beckett is here tonight. He is with Envision St. John, the CEO, the Regional Growth Agency. And with him this evening, we have Tricia Perry, who is the chair of Envision. Mr. Beckett.
Councillors, always a pleasure to get to Quispamsis, not the least of which is I get to go home for supper first before I come. So it's great to be here. It was buzzing at me. I've got a short presentation that I want to go through as quickly as possible because I'm more interested, quite frankly, in terms of questions that councillors may have in terms of our activities. But what I wanted to focus on this year is the strategic plan that the agencies just put in place. We've completed our first 5 years of operation, and it was timely for us to take a look at what we've learned over that 5 years, what feedback we've gotten from the communities actually, in terms of the region, and then build a plan out for the next 5 years. The plan was adopted in June, and we've started to develop action plans associated with it. So again, I just want to briefly run through some of the key elements of that strategic plan. Just a reminder for everybody, Envision St. John, we're the region's lead economic development and visitor attraction agency, and we're tasked with sustainably growing our economy and population. And again, I would emphasize with that we are an extension of the municipalities, that we recognize that we serve the municipalities as, in that economic development and visitor attraction function, and see ourselves as an extension of your staff, if you will, in terms of carrying out those roles. We're a convener. We bring together diverse stakeholders to develop a shared economic vision. So again, a lot of the work we do can't be done alone. We require partners to do it, and so we bring together a lot of different people in order to try and help build and grow the region. In terms of developing the strategic plan, we did look at our mission and vision. So our mission is to drive strategic, robust, sustainable economic growth, attracting visitors, people, businesses, and investment to the St. John region while enhancing our enviable quality of life. And I can tell you in terms of the investment attraction side of things, when we talk to prospective businesses, the quality of life that we've got here is a major factor in terms of their decisions around relocating, and the variety of different communities we have in the region are a real big selling point that we've got when we talk to businesses. In terms of our vision, we unite the voices, values, and vision of our community, serving as the trusted steward of the St. John region's economic evolution and shared success. In terms of our strategic pillars that we've got in the strategic plan, we've identified 4 that we're focused on for the next 5 years: growth readiness, talent attraction and retention, business attraction, retention and expansion, and visitor attraction. And I'll just briefly run through each of those so you've got a sense of the type of work we're doing. And I've tried to give some examples of specific actions that we're taking. There's a lot more in terms of our detailed action plan, but I've just highlighted a few here. So in terms of growth readiness, the key with this one is we're trying to take a future back approach, that we're trying to look at what the region is trying to be going forward, what each of our communities are trying to be, and then working backwards and saying, okay, what do we need to put in place and help put in place within the region to try and make that future happen. So we're looking at things like labor force, housing, healthcare recruitment and retention, business and investment attraction, strategic real estate development, and infrastructure development. So a couple of the examples of some of the work that we're doing. We provide strategic support around real estate development projects for municipalities, nonprofits, and the private sector. Just recently, I think it was 2 weeks ago, we had representatives from our team down at the Atlantic Real Estate Forum in Halifax as an example. And that's a chance for us to promote the region for new developers, people that may not be here, and that we can attract to the region and try and grow the development pool that's available within the region. Through the St. John Local Immigration Partnership, we're trying to improve new resident experience with the goal of trying to retain as many as possible of the newcomers that come. And again, that goes across all of the communities within the region, that we're trying to work with the various players that are involved with immigrant settlement to try and improve our retention numbers over time. We're also, in terms of under the infrastructure side, an example there would be advocating work that we're doing right now with the St. John Airport. The airport's a key piece of infrastructure that we need to have in place, both from a visitor attraction, from investment attraction, just for quality of life for our residents to have good, reliable airport connections to other centers. And so we're working with the airport in terms of developing a business case to put forward to Air Canada and to other airlines to hopefully diversify the airline offerings that are available through the St. John Airport. Under the pillar number 2, talent attraction and retention. So this is an area where we want to make sure that the region's a destination of choice for ambitious people seeking meaningful opportunities. This requires innovative housing solutions. You'll notice housing comes up a few times in the different pillars that we've got. It's a common theme. Diverse living environments, economic opportunities, and highly qualified personal and community experiences. Again, that quality of life piece that's so important. Some of the things that we're involved in, I would point out, because this came up at the St. John Council when I was talking to them, we do a pile of work around marketing campaigns to attract and retain talent in the region. You won't have seen a lot of those campaigns because they're targeted to other areas to specific demographics that we're going after, and a lot of them are outside the St. John region that we're developing those, doing those campaigns in terms of attracting talent. Workforce strategies for priority sectors. So we're doing a number of pieces of work with key areas like the energy sector and a few others, transportation and logistics, the tourism sector, in terms of looking at what the workforce requirements are 4, 5, 10 years out to make sure that we're providing as many sort of pathways for local residents and others to gain the skills that are needed to adapt to those workforce requirements. We support the local ecosystem in attracting and retaining healthcare professionals. We're doing a lot of work with through funding that we get from the Department of Health in terms of hosting new professionals when they come here on site visits to determine if this is where they want to stay. So we take them throughout the region to show them the range of opportunities that there are within the region, different lifestyles that they might be interested in. We also do a lot of work with the new students that are coming into the medical school at UMBSJ. Great way to try and keep people, if they're going to be here studying for 2, 3, 4 years. There's a good opportunity to try and keep some of those students here after they graduate, and so we do a lot of work with them in terms of providing different ways to learn more about what's going on within the region. And then the final one is, excuse me, final example is a new one that we're trying, because we have been looking for ways to attract more young professionals to the region. We tried a few different things over the last few years in terms of campaigns in the Ontario market, attracting with varied levels of success. What we're trying now is to do a reverse of what universities do when they're trying to attract students to go to the universities, is we're going to go to the universities and sell the region as a great place for new graduates to start their career. So we've hired an individual that's getting ready now, and we expect this spring that she'll be starting to do some initial visits at some of the maritime universities to really showcase the range of opportunities and lifestyles that are available in this area and a great place for it to be a great place to start their career. And I would say associated with that too, we're partnering with Fusion St. John to provide a bit of a mentorship exercise that we can pair new graduates that do decide to come here with young professionals that have been here for a while and use that as a way to hopefully improve retention opportunities and integrate them into the community. Pillar number 3 is business attraction, retention, and expansion. Here we're looking at talent access, development of innovative capacities, creation of flexible support mechanisms, navigating technological changes. Artificial intelligence would be a big one that we're looking at there in terms of how businesses are integrating AI into their works and providing different opportunities to help them with that. We provide, this is a key area for us in terms of working with existing businesses to help provide a bit of navigation support to different funding opportunities that may be available for them and ways that we can support them in terms of getting new businesses started. We see 200 to 300 business visits a year from individuals that are looking at starting businesses or expanding existing businesses. So it's a pretty busy area for us from that standpoint in terms of providing that business navigation support. We're doing a lot of work with the energy sector right now in terms of bringing key players together to look at what needs to be in place to help expand the energy sector going forward, to look at new directions that the energy sector is going. and what types of pieces need to be in place to help build that within our region. And then the other thing you will have seen, hopefully, is on a regular basis, we try and pick different new businesses or businesses that are succeeding within the region and do growth stories on them to really provide a promotion around those successes and hopefully use that as a way to, as a catalyst for other businesses to succeed within the region. The final area is visitor attraction. A big area for us in terms of the spend that we have as the destination marketing organization for the region. So tourism is certainly a vital industry for the region, and we see it as an area with tremendous growth opportunity, with things like the New Brunswick Museum expansion that will be opening within a couple of years, and other areas within the region that we see some really great opportunities for expansion in the tourism area. It provides a great opportunity for job creation, stimulates a lot of entrepreneurial opportunities, generates revenue that supports public services and community development. But I would say that tourism, it's also important to emphasize that it creates a ripple effect, that it improves the quality of life for the entire region because of the range of different opportunities it provides for our residents as well. So in terms of the visitor attraction area, again, you may not have seen a lot of these because they're in other markets, but we do a lot of work in terms of awareness campaigns in strategic markets. Quebec has become a big focus for us because of an increasing number of visitors coming from Quebec, Ontario, and over the last year, and we're going to do it again next year, an increasing emphasis on the Eastern United States, that we're seeing a lot of opportunity in terms of attracting visitors from the Eastern United States through the region. We provide sponsorship to a variety of different events that contribute to the region's pride of place. So there's a lot of different festivals and events around the region that we provide some sponsorship support. And we provide locals and visitors with information about the region through our visitor centers and also an ambassadors program that we offer online, that we offer training for it. I would say in terms of the other area that's not mentioned in the slide deck is a very active group that's involved in sales and marketing of the region in terms of looking at different meetings, conventions, events, and sport tourism that we work on. And that's an area where we work very closely with the town of Quispamsis because of opportunities associated with use of the Qplex. So we've had some great successes, shared successes around hockey. When we host the Canada Games in '29, the Qplex will be one of the host facilities for that. And see a lot of different other opportunities that we can work together on in terms of promoting use of a facility like the Qplex. Finally, I've noted in the presentation that there are a few areas that provide support for the work that we do. So over the last couple of years, and I showcased a bit of this last year when I was here, we do have a regional planning framework that helps support what we do, and that's our Regional Economic Development Plan, a Tourism Master Plan, and we also have a Regional Immigration Strategy that's guiding a lot of our efforts. Economic intelligence, data is key to a lot of what we do, and we know it's important for a lot of the businesses and others in the region. We just launched a new dashboard on our website. Would encourage you to go on and take a look at it. There's an extensive amount of data about the region that's really, I think, very enlightening, and it's very helpful. I know that we've talked to a number of businesses that are looking at settling in the region, and they find the data very useful, but I think you'd find it very interesting to look at things like population trends, housing statistics. It's a one-stop shop where you can go and find a pile of information about what's going on within the region. Marketing and communications, obviously a big part of what we do, and we also recognize the importance for the ongoing stakeholder relations, things like reaching out to the councils and the municipal teams on an ongoing basis, but a variety of other stakeholders within federal, provincial governments that we're trying to nurture to better the region. Finally, under the plan, we've identified, some will remember we used to have three, under the previous strategic plan, we had three measures that we were looking at: population growth, assessment growth, and quality of life. Quality of life a little bit tough to measure. Based on feedback that we got during the development of the Regional Economic Development Plan and Tourism Master Plan, we've now got 8 measures that we're looking at and that we'll be reporting on annually as part of our annual report card. They are job creation, wealth generation, new residents, newcomer retained, housing starts, educational attainment, industrial growth, and visit nights. Which those measures tend to hit on a lot of different areas that we've got, that we're involved in terms of our work. So that's my presentation. I did also provide a one-pager on the strategic plan that's sort of a quick snapshot of the plan, plus there's 2 pages that give you a listing of our service areas and some of the things that we're involved in those service areas. In a short presentation, it wouldn't be possible to get into all of the things that we're involved in, but wanted to give you a flavor for it. Mr. Watson and I have talked about the importance of more regular connections between my team and the Quispam team, because we've got an awful lot of information and we're at a lot of different tables. We want to make sure that we're passing on that information to the town, but also hearing from the town in terms of some key areas that that you're interested in and want to build more on that one going forward.
Thank you very much, Mr. Beckett. That's enlightening and certainly gives us a shot of, you know, an overview, I guess, of what you have been doing over the past year. And we're looking forward to what we can see for Quispamsis over the next 5 year with your strategic plan. When I was going through these, there were a few questions that I had that I would like to go through with you, but I see Councillor Luck's light is flashing, so, no, you're okay? Okay.
Ran away from that one quickly.
And if anyone else would like to ask, Deputy Mayor Squire.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for the presentation. It's very good. Thank you for being here, Ms. Perry. My question, the 4 pillars. So could you give us an idea of what amount of energy? You have a pie of 100%. How much is going into each pillar? And an idea of the dollars that goes into each pillar. So just to give us an idea of where a lot of your work is taking place. I know you want to be fair to everybody, each pillar, but we know how that works. There's always somebody that just doesn't get as much attention. And it could be for the reason that this is where it's really strong right now in this pillar, and that's why all the focus is going, more focus is on this pillar. So if you could just sort of give me an idea of where it's coming out.
We love all of our pockets of interest, and they're all very important. I guess the easiest way for me to answer your question is to look at it through the financial lens, not just because I'm an accountant, but we did start a couple of years ago. We changed the format of our financial statements so that in our financial statements, which are available online, you can see a breakdown of the amount of money that we are allocating to the various service areas that we're involved in. So to give you a little bit of a snapshot on that side of things, if I'm looking at for the current years in terms of our budget, our biggest single expenditure line is tourism promotion. Should come as no surprise. We're the destination marketing organization. That's 2.5 million. About half of that is paid for by the destination levy that we collect from the various hotels within the region. So that's that. So as much as it's a lot of money, again, about half of that is paid for through that destination marketing levy. After that, population growth and workforce development is about 1.2 million. I'll point out that is fully funded by the provincial government and federal government. So none of the municipal money goes to that work. I think it's very, very important work, but fortunately we get money from the province and from the federal government to cover off that money. Data services, so that's the dashboard that we have. We've got a number of other different data sources that we subscribe to be able to have the data to support us. So that's about 300,000 that we have associated with that. The real estate and industrial development, so the support we provide to housing for developers, the investment attraction services, about $500,000 to $550,000 that we're spending on it. And then the entrepreneurship and business development is about 310,000 in round numbers that we're spending on the support for local entrepreneurs. They're the main buckets that we've got. And then there's some common services, things like our office rent and my salary, others that go into a general administration bucket. But in terms of the split on the services, that's, and look, I would say that financial split gives you a fair idea of the level of effort, except for the tourism promotion and marketing. We've got a small team there, but there's a big spend there in terms of actual placement in social media and other areas. And so a lot of that work is, we've got a lot of time and effort in terms of the design of the programs, but then the actual spend is in the placement of those ads. And so it doesn't take a lot of the sort of our own staff resources on that side of things.
Thank you. Councillor Luck, your light is on. Okay, go ahead.
Great,
Gonna
thank
try it
you.
this time?
Yeah. Thank you for that. And thank you for the presentation. Very interesting, a lot of key things that you've identified in your strategic plan. One of the questions I had was in regards to your regional key performance indicators. They seem very large and overlapping with a number of other organizations and government agencies. So I love measurement and impact and being able to showcase that. And when I look at your KPIs, I feel like, I guess the question that comes to mind is, with or without you, are those still going to be
Terrific
successful?
point.
Yeah.
And that's, look, that's part of the challenge of the work that we do.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to be in a position to say, this happened because of us. Now, I can point to some specific projects and say, this happened because of us. But if you take a look at what we just talked about, the amount of money we're spending on tourism, promotion, and marketing, we spend a pile of money on it. If we have a summer like we had 2 years ago, where it rained every weekend, visitor nights are going to be down. No matter what we did in terms of tourism, promotion, and marketing, visitor nights are going to be down. That one-to-one relationship isn't going to be there. We took a look, and I'll come back to your question about number of players involved, but we took a look a couple of years ago in terms of measures that were in place for economic development agencies across the country. The Economic Development Association of Canada had done a survey, and they surveyed and got responses from some like 62 different agencies around key performance indicators. There wasn't one common indicator that was used by everybody, because it varies by community, it varies at what level that you're measuring. The measures that I gave you this evening are measures that are meant to be at a global scale, because at the end of the day, that's what we're after. We're trying to grow the region, and so we think that there are important measures to report on. You're right that there's a lot of different players that are involved in that. That's why I said at the outset that we play a key convening role, that we're trying to bring together a lot of those players. We want collective success on this side of things. I can tell you as an organization, when there's an announcement on things, a lot of times we want to be in the background. We'll smile and know that we've played a part in it, but we're quite happy to let others cut the ribbons and take the success. We just want success for the region. We'll play a small part by convening, by having some discussions with different people, by taking on certain projects that we can advance. But at the end of the day, whether it's a small part or a big part, those measures give a good indication of whether collectively we're being successful from a region standpoint. And quite frankly, as much as we can't make that one-to-one connection, I think it's very fair for councils that are providing funding to us, if you're not seeing growth in some of those areas, that should give rise to questions that said, okay, what are we getting for our investment? What have you learned from, when things have gone bad? Do you understand why they've gone bad? How does that affect your action plans going forward? What are you hearing from the system that may be holding us back as a region? That's why we focused on those sort of key areas. As you as elected officials, we think they're the key areas that, if we're looking at growth within the region, they give the best indication as to whether we're being successful or not.
Can I just ask a follow-up? I guess to follow up on that, I guess my second part of the question was, because again, I guess sometimes it's a challenge because, to my original question, how do you know what part you play? Because, maybe in terms of housing starts, is that the provincial government, so with that said, do you have other more granular performance indicators that you work through? And again, it might not be in the document to kind of, I guess, identify what contribution that you guys are making to the overall KPIs for the region. Thanks.
Yes. So what we've, and I would encourage you that the full strategic plan is available on our website. There's one page in the website that does specifically talk about measures. And recognizing the challenge that's there in terms of, yes, those are global, we play a small part. On a year-by-year basis, we develop an action plan to be transparent about what we're doing. We've identified measures associated with that action plan that is more granular, and that we'll report on those on an annual basis to show, and we do a year in review at the end of each year. It's typically in the sort of April-May timeframe, where we'll provide more of that granular information in terms of the different work that we're doing. The number of developers that we're working with, the number of business visits that we've had, a lot of different sort of measures that we're using to report on our activities. Because of the sort of complex nature of what we do, we found the best way that we can respond to that is just being transparent about saying what we're doing and then reporting on how we did related to what we're doing. Whether it has the desired impact at the end of the day, that's where it gets fuzzy.
Thank you. And I guess Quispamsis has always supported economic development, and we've been a part of ESJ at the time. And now, under the government reform, we have been mandated. So each of the 7 communities in the Fundy Regional Service Commission have been mandated to pay according to their population, which means that
It's actually based on your assessment.
on their assessment value, yes.
Yeah, this is the exception with the economic
Yes,
development. Yeah.
and given that, we are the 2nd largest community of the 7 in the region. And as you said, measures vary by community. That was one of the things that you had said. So one of the things that I would like to see is something that is actually geared to Quispamsis, like something that is, and I know that the Qplex has taken part with Memorial Cup and, you know, all the wonderful events that we've held at the Qplex, and many of those were at the hands of the staff that work here, and you know, we're certainly pleased to share those. When I looked at for example, under growth readiness, under pillar number 1, infrastructure development, what exactly does that mean? Is that pertaining to development within the nucleus, within St. John, or is that spread out here as well? Because when we do business attraction, economic attraction, those sorts of things, how much is that impacting St. John? I think you can look at, or Quispamsis, you can look at St. John and say, here's what we've done, this, this, and this, because you can see that. What can we point to in Quispamsis? Thank you.
It's a great question, and if I were in your shoes, I'd probably asking the same question. And I wish there was an easy way to answer it. I'm hesitant. We will always try and give examples of things that we're involved with within the communities, but I would say to start off with that in terms of the work that we do for regional economic development and the tourism promotion, it knows no municipal boundaries. I can tell you in terms of the businesses that we work with, within, and a lot of those businesses are in St. John, but the owners live in Quispamsis and Rosse. A lot of those businesses, that's the case. And so the geographic boundaries, so is it where you live or where you work that we're working with? So again, a lot of the younger entrepreneurs that we're dealing with that come in are from throughout the region. We don't play favorites on that side of things. On the other side of things, when it comes to investment attraction, I can tell you, you know, example of a couple of weeks ago, we had a company that's looking at potentially relocating 200 to 300 employees to this region. We showcased the entire region, and they're very interested in terms of the difference in terms of housing styles, living arrangements that are available. But it's very, very difficult at times. You know, I was supposed to attend the last council meeting, was unable to because there was a meeting in St. John around a data center. Now, if we're successful with a data center that's going to be in Lorneville and St. John, but I can tell you a lot of those workers are going to end up in Quispamsis or Rosse, or Grand Bay Westfield or other places within the region. That to me, economic development is we've got an economic center of influence, but it impacts everybody. Quispamsis, Rosse are the types of communities that they are because of the type of employment opportunities that are available within St. John as well. We absolutely recognize the amount of contribution that's coming from each of the communities and want to work with those communities in terms of making sure there's benefit. But again, I drive the highway into St. John every morning, and based on the traffic that's going in there, there's a pile of people that are in these outlying communities that derive benefit from businesses that are within St. John. When it comes to, you also asked around infrastructure development. We're looking at infrastructure development at the regional level, and so we will work with each of the municipalities, and if we see deficiencies in terms of things that would help in terms of the visitor attraction, new resident attraction, we'll highlight those for the local areas. But then the regional area, that's why I highlighted things like the airport. It's a regional asset around infrastructure that we're trying to promote. We don't get into the individual sort of the local area infrastructure side. That's the municipal responsibility, and so we wouldn't be involved in those types of activities.
Thank you. I'm happy to hear you say that you do recognize the contributions from each of the communities.
Oh, absolutely do. Very
Because
conscious of it.
it's fairly significant now, and it's growing year by year.
Yeah.
And that's why
this year was a particularly tough one, I know, for particularly for Quispamsis and Rothsay, because the new funding model came in place that it was a fixed funding model for the first 5 years we were in place. This was the first year of the full allocation based on assessment. So look, I absolutely understand the concerns that are there.
Thank you. I will go to Councillor Miller, please.
Thank you, Worship. And first, thank you, Mr. Beckett, for your presentation. I'm very appreciative of yourself and your team, because I think all the efforts for the region, it's helping everybody out. So I'm really happy with that. Mine is actually, and your timing was absolutely perfect. Let's follow up on the mayor's question or comment. Because, when you talk about housing and resident attraction, water's one of our main challenges. And as you know, being a resident out around here, water we don't have very much, and we've been fighting. Maybe things will change in the budget pass, so we'll see what happens. But my question was, does you have a lot of experience, and I know you've also Envision St. John had presented housing starts and things like that, and we've done our own things. But is it possible to have Envision St. John help us with some of the studies to help us attract federal money or provincial money of funding for specifically these projects that fall within Envision's mandate? And again, back of what the mayor had stated, when you talk about housing and attraction, we don't have as many apartments because we don't have the water. And
No question.
that's a big thing that is missing for Quispamsis, especially a town of our size, right? So thank you.
Yeah, no, look, I think that's a good example of where Mr. Watson and I have had some initial discussions, but we need to be spending more time in terms of the exchange. We've provided letters of support in the past for some of it, but I think we've got an awful lot of data and background that we can, that hopefully could add to the applications that put forward. And look, that's the type of service you should be expecting from us to be part of that. Again, we're an extension of your municipal team and want to be drawn into those conversations and want to add value wherever we can. Had a similar discussion with the Village of St. Martin's just recently. They're doing a housing study. I said, look, we've got a couple of people that are very knowledgeable in this. Can we get them involved in that housing study? So they're providing data and support for that, and would absolutely want to do the same for Quispamsis.
Thank you, Councillor Miller. Councillor Bigger, please.
Thank you, Your Worship, and thank you, Mr. Beckett, for being here. Great to see you again, and appreciate the update very much. I'm as appreciative as I am of your presentation. I'm also very appreciative of the honest thoughts that you're sharing, and I'm really heartened by the conversation here with the mayor as you've laid it out, and stuff like your phrasing is really, I think, germane around being an extension of our municipal efforts at Envision, and the relationship that continues to grow and broaden with our CAO. And I think those are all great indicators of, the partnership that exists. And the KPI and the strategic pillars for Envision are very good. It's very easy to get behind, I find, as a values proposition, what Envision purports to do. For one thing, you're a very professional group, and I always am impressed by how you put things together. And I think that from a vision perspective, from a strategic perspective, the old adage of, all boats float a little higher, I think that is kind of what we're after. We as the mayor pointed out, we have a budget that has, and you just admitted as much, has a particularly sort of heightened contribution this year from the town of Quispamsis. And I voted in favor of that budget, so I have no bones to pick in regards to that. And I also, as I say, I take to heart the comments that you're making tonight. I wonder if and we live in a time, it must be a challenge, because it seems that we live in a time where people are very tempted to silo off in some ways, right? Sure. Even at a time where you're trying to broaden sort of a sense of like, let's all join hands and be a region here together. But you can hear the challenge that we're kind of conveying, I think, and when I look at the KPI, I wonder, how do I explain to somebody at the drugstore here in Quispamsis who stops me and challenges me, having reviewed our budget and fiscal contribution to Envision, how do I quantify or qualify, whatever, the manifestation of these KPI in our town? And maybe they don't all apply. Certainly they don't all apply at once, and as the deputy mayor pointed out, the amount of effort on one particular area of focus and development and growth is going to be, perhaps a little more of the share of the pie at a particular time, depending on so many conditions and whatnot. And it's a very sort of 50,000-foot view in many ways. And we have wonderful, fantastic, amenities here, and the valley is such a beautiful place. The waterfront is in St. John. The Area 506 Container Village is in St. John. There's some things are just where they are, Sure. And to the degree that they serve to drive the local economy with regards to things like visitor attraction, that's the way it is. But I take your point about how, people who live out here appreciate the quality of life opportunities that some of those amenities bring. And also that as opportunities for more jobs come along, that encourages people to live in our communities as well. But I just wonder if you can give me, and this isn't meant to be persnickety or anything, but I just wonder how you characterize that to a person in Quispamsis that you run into that says, hey, our town gives a lot of money to Envision, and what are we getting out of it? And I am eager to be able to represent that to our residents. And I think that in a sort of a more esoteric way, I can. But I wonder, everybody wants everything right now. I get that. That's unfair. But anyway, I just wonder if any of that resonates with you.
It does, and you're not the first person I've heard it from. Look, particularly if you look at the region, and I don't say this in a demeaning way, Quispamsis is a bedroom community. Largely a bedroom community. The commercial businesses that are here are local service businesses. Our focus is on export-focused businesses, ones that are bringing new money to the region. So when we look at visitor attraction, new money coming into the region. When we're looking at investment attraction, it's attracting new businesses to the region that are generating their revenue from outside the region that adds to the wealth within the region. If we're successful, it protects housing values. It increases the demand for housing. You're not going to be able to grow the communities that we've got in the outlying area if you don't have that new wealth coming in. And so that's what we're focused on. Our key focus is around increasing the wealth within this region by attracting new investment and monies that are generated elsewhere that bring that new money into the region. And again, as we're successful, that does have a spillover impact in terms of whether it's housing values, whether it's amenities that are available for local residents. All of those come because we're attracting that wealth to the region. So that's our focus. That's our manic focus across all of the different areas that we're involved in, is we recognize we're in the growth business. We're in the wealth generation business. And I think that does have an impact and a benefit to the entire region. Now, I would say, just if I might go on one step further, because I've used the example fairly recently at the Fundy Region Service Commission, we're as good as what you make use of us as well at times. If you were in front of a business audience, for example, the state of the region that the Chamber of Commerce does every year or whatever, we're not arming the mayors with enough information so that you can speak to a business. When a business person says, well, what have you done for me lately? Listen, I can give you a list of 20+ items that you can respond to that question, because it's your money that's paying for what we do. So you should be speaking about it, and you don't have to, I don't care if you mention Envision St. John, don't care. Quispamsis is helping in terms of attracting newcomers to this region that are going to fill workforce requirements. Quispamsis is working to attract new investment into this region that's going to improve the wealth of the region. Quispamsis is providing money to attract visitors to this region to improve tourism opportunities that then enhance the quality of life. That's what you're doing through your money. And again, we're just a vehicle for how that's done, but we are very cognizant of the fact that it's your money that's helping make that happen.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Bigger. Councillor Olson.
Thank you, Your Worship. Thank you for your presentation. Always interesting to hear what's happening and that. I just wanted to refer back to the list of 20 accomplishments, if you want to put it that way. I think it'd be interesting to see something like that, whether it's an annual report or semi-annual or whatever, that you can actually put a name or a project on paper that indicates that what we've invested in. And Quispamsis, I think, has been one of the leading investment groups whenever the call has come out to be part of the team. And we appreciate the group that you work with, and we've supported them from day one, continue to support them. But I kind of like that idea of the 20 list that you can say, look, we were part of this, and this, and your money contributed towards it,
And I think you're going to see a lot more of that with the action plans that we've got developed now, that exactly, we're trying to provide a little bit more of that direct information in terms of here's the things that we were directly involved in.
Yeah, I'm from Missouri, show me. That's what they're all saying.
I've heard it, yep, understood.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Olson. Deputy Mayor Schreier, are you going to make that motion?
Yes, I'd like to move thank you to Mr. Beckett, be thanked for his presentation, updating council on Envision St. John's strategic priorities, and we look forward to participating in the future sessions. Thank you very much, and thank you.
Thank you. It's been moved by Deputy Mayor Schreier, seconded by Councillor Bigger. On the question, please vote.
While PIC councillors are voting, Your Worship, councillors, we're into the holiday season, so I do wish you all the best for a safe and enjoyable holiday season. Looking forward to bringing my grandkids to see the lights. They enjoy it every year, so we'll be coming to partake in that. But
We will be happy to have you here, and tomorrow night is the lighting of the lights or the tree, so that's the beginning of our holiday dreamland.
Just Councillor Luck and Councillor Bigger, please. Okay, thank you.
Motion carried 7-0. Thank you very much, Mr.
Thanks very
Beckett.
much, everybody.
Next on the agenda, we have Kennebecasis Regional Joint Board of Police Commissioners Quarterly Update and Q&A on general police issues. This is being verbally delivered by our Chief, Chief Young. And welcome, Chief.
Thank you for having me. Let me just...
The floor is yours.
Okay. Your Worship, Deputy Mayor, councillors, Mr. CAO, staff. What I'd like to do tonight, there's a lot to report. One quarter, there's a lot going on. So what I'd like to do is just hit on some highlights within the last quarter, a little outside of what you usually get within your town packages. So first, I'd like to hit on community. So within community, we're looking at increasing our capacity beyond our community engagement sergeant. So what we've done is we've created neighborhood officers. They're within the platoon system. They're not, it's a secondary role. It's not new positions. They're secondary to their platoon functions, regular patrol duties. But what this does, it gives us further outreach into the community. Our community engagement sergeant, Kelly McIntyre, does an amazing job. I'll hit on a lot of items that she's actively engaged in, which I think you'll be thoroughly impressed. But she needs more beyond just herself. So with this neighborhood officer program within the platoon system, it gives us further ability and capability where we can reach even deeper into the community. Creates good succession planning, engages those officers working within the platoon system as well, opposed to just every day in the patrol vehicle, gives them something else to engage with as well. There's 3 youth programs I'd like to discuss. So once again, we're looking to be very proactive, focusing on engaging our youth. So the first program is Sergeant McIntyre's working with the schools on a SNAP program. It's called SNAP, Stop Now and Plan. So what this is, it's an evidence-based program. It targets the ages 6 to 11. Those are at risk of violence and criminality. Provides early intervention strategies for youth, parents, and educators. Provides a ton of support within those pillars as well. The program is a 13-week model. It's broken down as weekly sessions for both youth, parents in separate groups, ongoing support for educators who work with the identified students. Also, within these sessions, there'll be 7 within each session, obviously with parental support. Those students who are referred both by schools and police will participate in this program. The second program we're looking to adopt is Adopt a Cop initiative. So what we're looking to do there is build stronger ties between police, schools, and at-risk youth. We're looking to, with the support of the school district, implement a program which will pair an officer with each participating school. This is where we're looking to embed the neighborhood officers into the schools, provide regular check-ins, positive relationship building with the identified youth, also enhancing collaboration between schools, families that require that support. Thirdly, power play leadership. So we're looking to target the older demographic, teens, older middle school age children. So what we're looking to do there, we ran this program or trained our officers up on leadership program. We're looking to partner with the schools, get them in to focus on a mentoring program which will teach essential youth leadership skills such as self-confidence, decision-making, communication skills, empathy, and problem solving. So those are 3 programs that we're heavily involved in focusing on our youth. Community events. We've already had 2 events occur. Significant events occur out in our area. So the first being the KV Music Festival. That went off August 26th to 29th. Once again, good operational planning, collaboration with the event organizers, the towns, and our team. That event went off without any issues. Another one, Culture Fest. Once again, a testament to very good operational planning, collaboration with event organizers and the town staffers there as well. Given the history of that event, it was a huge success for the town for that to even occur. So bravo. The Santa Claus Parade, that we're in final preparation for that with town staffers, fire, and our team. So you would have seen in the media, human trafficking was a topic that's come up provincially, but also in the media. So the reason why I bring it up, I've been asked as chief, what are you doing as an organization in relation to this? Just to start, so it was noted in the media, last year New Brunswick saw the highest number of human trafficking incidents reported in decades, according to Stats Can. Police reported data from 2024 shows that New Brunswick also tied with Ontario with the second highest rate of human trafficking reports per capita across the 10 provinces. So what we are doing organizationally, we have currently rolled out 2 programs to our frontline officers to better learn and understand what human trafficking is, but also better in the field how to detect and investigate those that are potentially being human trafficked. Additionally to that, we're building further capacity in our criminal investigations division to appropriately investigate those incidents to the fullest. With research, we're heavily, research informs our practices, approaches, strategies, and our decision-making every day. Very important to our organization. We have several research programs that, or studies that we're involved in. One I'd like to touch on, so Trauma-Informed Policing Research Project. What this is we have 2 researchers that are going to come in to our organization. They're going to do examination of police body-worn camera footage in response to how we respond to intimate partner and sexual violent calls. What they're doing is analyzing our trauma-informed approaches. In years past, there was a huge organizational rollout of trauma-informed interviewing and also identifying through policies and practices trauma-informed approaches to investigational techniques. So we're doing a quality assurance there. What this will explore is to what degree in which trauma-informed interviewing enhances the quality information being extracted by the complainants. Also, are we better facilitating and bettering the engagement in the legal process of the complainant? Finally, this will also help identify coercive controlling dynamics for better risk mitigation as part of the interviewing. So when I go back to the human trafficking piece, this will also ensure that we are asking those appropriate questions to extrapolate the potential of those folks being human trafficked. External communications I'd like to touch on. So once again, communications. It's huge for any organization, especially police communication externally on a daily basis, but also in crisis. To ensure that we're meeting the benchmark, we have brought in a consultant. The consultant did a discovery audit. As a result of the discovery audit, we have 55 actionables that need to be addressed. We have a 90-day plan that has just begun to address those 55 actionables. We've internally, once again, secondary to other duties, we've formed a communications team. We currently have 2 officers in Ontario that are being trained as media relations officers currently. I'll have further updates on the next quarter where that's going. Working groups. So once again, we have many working groups in our organization that are addressing various issues and topics. One that I'd like to hit on is continuity of operations. So this goes outside the emergency management topics. This is specific to our organization. So once again, the importance of strengthening of our organization's readiness to ensure essential functions continue during emergencies, disruptions, and personal shortages. The time you have a cyber attack isn't when you want to make it up on the fly as you're experiencing a cyber attack. So having those contingency plans prepared prior to will ensure that we are ready to work through crisis at any given time. We're 24/7, 365 operation, and we don't have a luxury of saying, sorry, we're closed today. So we'll keep you updated on that, and we're in the process of rolling those contingency plans out as well. On the crime statistics, so in your last package, I'd like to review those. So crime against persons, we have a decrease in 41.7%. A large part of that would be strategic deployment of patrols. So in preparation for the budget, doing a 5-year dive into the organization, you can see where organizationally we had less folks out on the street, and the spike in increase in property crimes, crimes against persons at that time. Now that we're becoming a healthy organization, we have more visibility, strategic deployment of those officers. We have a good decrease where you want to see decreases, and increases where you should see those as well, outside of the IPV piece, which I'll talk on in a sec. Property crime, once again, that's a lot of data-driven, intel-driven, strategic deployment of our officers, where they're not just patrolling on their own. They're directed at certain times, certain areas for deterrence, high visibility, once again, deterring those crime activities. Intimate partner violence. So within your package, you would see that IPV rates have increased by 41.8%. So with intimate partner violence, it also states within your package that other family violence was included in those statistics, which they are not. So speaking with my team, we're going to break those out. You'll have a good understanding of what other family violence is, what those statistics are, but what you're seeing as far as an increase is specific to intimate partner violence. Intimate partner is an intimate relationship between two people. Other family violence being anybody within the family system that is involved in an incident. I'll take questions.
Thank you, Chief Young. I'm so happy to see that Sergeant McIntyre is being supported with some of the platoon support, I guess. One of the things that is close to my heart as a retired school teacher of 32 years is dealing with students, children from elementary, middle school, and high school. And I say that because I know at the middle school level, they do tend to be very peer-oriented and very affected by their peers. And I know even back when I was teaching, which is about 17 years ago, there were cases of kids stealing one another's identity, whether they got passwords or whatever. And I'm wondering if there is a program that's going into the schools to say, look, there's fraud, there's AI influences, there's so many things that as children, most people here didn't have to deal with it to the degree that kids today are dealing with technology. So I'm just wondering how you are dealing with that.
There is another program that Sergeant McIntyre is looking at, the Healthy Me program. Within that, there's 4 topics that on that, cyberbullying, sending inappropriate photographs, understanding the web. So that is a program in itself that we're also looking at as well.
I'm going to turn to Councillor Luck, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. Thank you, Chief Young, for attending tonight. I don't really have a question, I just have a comment. I have the pleasure of being on the police board, and I just wanted to congratulate you for your leadership and all the amazing things. I couldn't be happier with all the new initiatives and just, it's really exciting to be on the board at this point and just to see all the great things that are happening. So I just want to thank you for, being a great leader in this, and playing a part in this. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Luck. Deputy Mayor Schreier.
Thank you, Your Worship. Thank you for your presentation. There's a lot there, a lot happening in one quarter. I'm wondering about preparations for homelessness in the Valley and where, the law enforcement plays such a large role in helping with the homeless and getting them to services and wrap around. And what type of discussions have been, or are any discussions going on, and how we as Quispamsis and I'll say the Valley going to deal with it? Because we know the spread will happen. It's just a matter of when. And I'd like to, offer that we're here to help, first of all, And if there are any discussions, what are they on the police side?
There is discussions. So actually, one of my tasks for the board is to bring a package to the board and discuss that with the police board. Next would be talking with the CAOs. When you talk about the unhoused situation, unfortunately, police end up being the front end of that. It's not who you want to respond to somebody who is unhoused. Case law is well set across Canada in relation to what needs to be established. First off, what is considered an encampment? What police have to do to be able to displace somebody. I can tell you that if we do come in contact with an unhoused situation, that it's not the police, kicking somebody or displacing them and moving them along. We are ensuring that their needs are met, that they have a place to go. You have to have an alternate means of location when you move someone. In this area, we don't have those means, so we're traveling into the city to ensure that they make it to a shelter. Sergeant McIntyre is also tracking and somewhat being of a point person for those as well. So we're ensuring that any needs that are required by those that are unhoused are being met. Empathy is being used by our officers. But we're heavily driven by case law, ensuring that we're following what's required. But yeah, we're not just pushing them along. One of the big things that we'll be talking at the CAO level and the board level is ensuring that bylaws. So for us even to make a contact, we have to be sure that our contact's even lawful. Do we have the ability to displace and find alternate means? So bylaws, we'll be looking at those as well to ensure that those are appropriate. We have to work within laws, and we want to be sure that those exist.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Councillor Bigger, please.
Thank you very much, Your Worship, and thank you, Chief, for being here. I just wanted to tack on to what you just said, if I might, and just again, as a member of the police board as well, I do really appreciate the heartfelt approach that the Chief brings to that issue that the Deputy Mayor raises. We have had some discussion, of course, at meetings, and I really appreciate that he's, bringing a sense of leadership to it, of course, on behalf of the force, but it's beyond just saying, well, we have to operate within laws. I think that there's also a strong sense of operating with affording dignity and humanness. So I appreciate that a lot. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or for the Chief? Deputy Mayor Scryer.
I'd just like to thank you, Chief, for your presentation tonight.
Thank you. It's been moved by Deputy Mayor Scryer to thank Chief Young and seconded by Councillor Bigger.
Okay.
On the question, please vote. Motion carried 7-0. Chief, thank you for your service and for being here this evening.
I'll see you all tomorrow night at the tree lighting.
Yes, thank
All
you.
right. See you. Thank you.
We look forward to that. Item 5C, public presentation, 213 Hampton Road, PIDs 00249854 and 013010276 from Central Commercial CC to Integrated Development rezoning application. And in attendance, we have Andrew Young. And Andrew, before you start, I'm going to remind everyone that under the Community Planning Act, Section 25, that we have been requested and plan to consider amending the municipal plan bylaw number 54 and that we have set this day and place for a public presentation, and that we note that feedback to the proposed amendment may be made within 30 days of the public presentation. So this is for information purposes for the council. I don't see any proponents here, so we will move forward. And there are no questions this evening from council, is that correct?
They can ask questions, just no.
No biases, but you may ask questions, okay? So Andrew, the floor is yours. Mr. Dunn, thank you.
Thank you. So thank you everyone for having us here this evening. We're hoping to explore an opportunity to develop 213 Hampton Road, which is just right down the street. Currently it's vacant land that we drive by every day. I believe we can all agree it's underutilized and could look a lot better. Our opportunity, we believe, is to develop this into 3 modern buildings that would be comprised of 50 residential units per building. And 2 of the buildings would have approximately 10,000 square feet in commercial space. This is roughly how the layout would look on the property. The buildings A and B, which would be closer to Hampton Road, would have the commercial space, and then 5 stories of residential. And the building towards the rear of the property would be just simply 5 stories of residential. Here's a rendering approximately what it would look like. Some of the benefits we feel would help with the town would be property tax, water and sewer, in the excess of $600,000 a year. Of course, not all of that goes directly to the town, but I'm sure some of it makes its way there. We would assist in helping bringing more people to the downtown core, more businesses, and we'd be investing roughly $30 million into Quispamsis through local suppliers, tradespeople, and employees. Building A, which would be our first building, and we would do this in phases, would be the first one closest to Town Hall in Hampton Road, and would have 40 residential units, 5 of which would be affordable. 3 would be accessible, and 11,000 square feet of commercial space with underground parking. The second, building B, also facing Hampton Road, would be 50 residential units, 5 affordable units, 3 accessible, 11,000 square feet of commercial space with a rooftop restaurant facing downriver, which we think would be awesome for the town and the tenants, and underground parking. And building C, finally, would be our 3rd year of construction, which would be straight up 50 residential units on 5 floors, 5 affordable units, and 3 accessible. And this is a rendering of what the exterior would look like, colors to be determined, but we would work within the town's guidelines to do that. So hopefully that was short and sweet, and happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. I'm just going to read this next part. The presentation's been made.
Sure.
Following the presentation, council and/or the public, I don't see anyone else here, and there is no one, Tim, online, may ask questions, keeping in mind this is not the time to hear objections, but rather an opportunity to gather information on the proposal. A motion would be in order to refer the proposed rezoning application to a regular meeting at least 30 days from the date of this public presentation to allow the 30-day timeline for public feedback in accordance with the Community Planning Act. Councillor Luck, please.
Thank you, Your Worship, and thank you, Mr. Dunn, for coming tonight. I just have a quick question. I noticed that you said there'd be 5 affordable, 3 accessible. And could they be affordable and accessible? Are they different ones? I'm just curious with our population and people getting older. I'm just wondering if you could speak a little bit to if you put any thought into even universal design, just so that someone that might need accessibility, because it's going to definitely meet a huge need, but I can see a lot of people downsizing and moving into this. And I'm just wondering if, again, the affordability plus the accessibility could be together. I didn't know what your plans were, if you could expand on that. Thanks.
Sure, that's a great question. We definitely have thought about it. We haven't decided or determined if the affordable would be the same units as accessible, but the entire building, all of the units would be somewhat accessible in terms of wheelchairs, mobility issues. They may not have the lower sinks like you would for someone in a permanent wheelchair, but they would be very senior friendly. That's our target market anyhow. And we're not sure about how the affordable, accessible work together,
Awesome.
but they could be the same units.
Can I just ask a quick question?
Sure.
Just follow up. So when you were talking about accessible, you were thinking of like accessible wheelchair versus just universal design that would be accessible, like still accessible?
Correct.
Okay, awesome, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Miller, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. Thank you, for your, sorry, gotta get my glasses on. Thank you for your presentation. Just a question on the underground parking. Is that going to be for residents only, or is it also going to be accessible for the businesses above? I know I've been to ones in Calgary as an example, that it's dual. They've got multi-levels going down. It's, one part is for the residents, and then the other part is for the commercial buildings that go straight up. So just a question on that. Thanks.
An awesome idea, and we'd love to explore that. I don't think it would be for anyone but the residents, because it's fairly limited in terms of our footprint, and we'd have to either go higher or somehow lower to make that happen. So at this point, just for residents.
Thank you, Councillor Miller. Councillor Bigger, please.
Thank you, Your Worship, and thank you very much for coming in. I note in our planning technologist's report, Jennifer Jarvis, perhaps this is a question that could be answered by our Planning and Development Services manager, as I think Ms. Jarvis is not here tonight, but I note that there is a point on, I guess it's the top of page 4, referring to the concern expressed by the engineering department related to the placement of the third building. Just to read from it, in addition, there is a concern regarding the placement of the residential building at the rear of the lot, as a significant natural drainage corridor exists in this location as identified in Figure 2. An engineered solution or the resitting of the residential building may be required to accommodate surface water flows in this area. And I guess I suppose one thing I wondered is, that is something that I presume you're aware that a concern has been expressed. And what if, is it just too early in the process to even consider, what that portends for that building's placement? If someone could maybe speak to that, I'd be interested to hear what our development manager has to say about that. Thank you.
Mr. Colburn, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. Through you, Your Worship, to Councillor Bigger and Council. So at this stage, what has been looked at has been sort of a high-level stormwater management plan. So as the project moves forward, then obviously there would be a deeper dive into what that would look like. Normally with these types of developments, there is opportunities to do what we call on-site attenuation. So that could be some sort of pond, if there was potentially on the property. There's an opportunity to work with neighboring properties as well. If some of these, in terms of the commercial size, we're looking to expand, they would obviously have to address stormwater management issues too. So there's opportunity to look at that in terms of, sort of a shared solution. There's also, in terms of the parking lot, there's, and some of the separations within the parking lot, you can put in inside the parking lot, underneath the parking lot, stormwater holding attenuation, basically tanks. So there are ways of doing it. You can put bioswales. All of those factors would be brought in to obviously look at the amount of stormwater runoff that's coming from the buildings, as well as the parking lot areas as well. So at this point in time, it's important to have flagged that, to say, okay, here's the situation, what's the risk, how are we going to mitigate it through the process. At this stage, we're looking at it high level, recognizing it is something that needs to be addressed. We'll be also looking at downstream impacts at the same time as we look at the work that's planned for the Hampton Road upgrade stormwater side of things. We would be looking at how can we take advantage of that as well to address some of these issues. So that stormwater component is just not directly associated with this particular development. It's the Hampton Road in general. So we would look at that as part of that process as well, especially recognizing there is an application that's before us that we are entertaining. Thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. And part of what drew my attention to that, and I appreciate you mentioning the Hampton Road redevelopment, because of course that's going to be seminal in terms of how this all works out as well. But you know, my partner owns a business that is in the Lakefield Plaza, and I think we've all seen how water can pool there when we have these kind of, you know, severe quick melts of snow or heavy rainfalls and stuff that runs down the road. So I just was concerned about kind of how that's, but I know that's probably going to be addressed largely in the context of upgrading Hampton Road, generally speaking, anyway. So thank you very much. I don't know if there was anything you wanted to add to all that, but I appreciate the feedback.
Thank you, Councillor Bigger. Thank you, Mr. Colburn. Deputy Mayor Scryer, please.
Thank you, Worship. Thank you for the presentation. I have two questions. One is probably a quick answer, and one might be a little bit more. The first one is, will there be elevators in the buildings? Because I believe you said 5 stories.
6 stories, and yes.
Elevators, okay. And my other question is, this is being developed as integrated development zone. So we're mixing commercial and residential together, which back when my ancestors came over, that's what you did. You lived above your business, right? And we grew up over the store. So, but with that, I'm wondering about what type of retail are you thinking about? Is it passive retail? Is it more, you know, doctors, dentists, or is it, you know, whatever you have in mind? And then I guess my question would be to Mr. Colburn is, do those retails sites have to come back to us to be approved if there was something that in the retail that wasn't maybe what we were thinking it was going to be? I'm not sure the process when you start mixing the two together. There's questions about the because it's neighborhood integrated development zone.
Mr. Colburn, please.
Thank you, Worship. Through you, Worship. So integrated zone development or integrated development allows for a development to look at existing zones that currently exist in the bylaw. So it allows you to pick and choose how those come together. So you're actually putting forward a complete design package. So your design package or your development agreement would identify what the range of those business opportunities could be. So rather than say it's based on completely central zoning as we currently know it today, uses, you could say it would be central zoning plus these uses from neighborhood commercial, so you can broaden that or restrict it as much as so desired based on the location. So this type of development is flexible in that it allows you to look at your overall zoning bylaw, existing zones, existing uses, put them together in a development scheme, and then that particular development scheme is what will regulate that development moving forward. So you won't have to come back in terms of doing zone amendments and those types of things. You're presenting, you're basically what you see as your complete development package through this process up front.
Sorry?
I'm just wondering if you had anything to add to that as to retail.
No, I mean,
No.
we would prefer to have businesses that would complement and assist the tenants and vice versa, and obviously within the town's bylaws.
Thank you. Councillor Donovan, please.
Thank you. I just wanted to thank you for your presentation and also for your continued interest in our town. I would move that council refer the rezoning application to December 16th, 2025 regular meeting to provide the 30-day time slot for public input.
Thank you. It's been moved by Councillor Donovan, seconded by Councillor Bigger. On the question, please vote. Motion carried 7-0. Thank you, Mr. Dunn, for being here, and thank you for your patience waiting. Item 6A. Proposed zoning bylaw amendment number 038-52, amendment to Table 3, staff report from the planning technologist, Jennifer Jarvis. No written comments were received. Planning Advisory Committee Notice of Decision, October 14th in your package, and consideration of approval, proposed zoning bylaw amendment number 03852. So a public hearing procedure for Section 111 Community Planning Act and Section 18 Quispamsis Procedural Bylaw number 033. The mayor and council acknowledges that we have been requested and plan to consider amending municipal plan number 054 and or zoning bylaw number 38. We have set this day and place for a public hearing, and note that anyone wishing to speak for or against the proposed bylaw amendment will be heard and considered by council. Each person wishing to speak will approach the podium, identify themselves, and have a 5-minute timeline to address council. The steps are as follows: planning staff to provide executive summary, presentation by proponent. Those wishing to speak for or against the proposal shall be given the opportunity to be heard. The mayor will ask 3 times if anyone further wishes to speak for or against the proposed amendments. The proponent makes final summation. PAC's written views are noted. Council members may ask questions, and a motion may be presented and voted upon. And if a council member does not attend a public hearing required under statutory procedures, the member who did not attend the public hearing is precluded from taking part in the debate and must vacate his or her seat during the debate on the motion. Would anyone on staff like to speak to this? Mr. Colburn, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. Through you, Worship, to council. So the amendment that's before council covers off 2 items. My executive summary will be even more executive. Essentially, it's addressing a textual error in the zoning bylaw itself. So the language within the zoning bylaw does permit for the development and construction of a semi-detached building, basically 2 dwelling units separated by a common wall. The requirements are that the lot sizes on each side of that common wall have to reflect the current standard for a single detached dwelling, 1,140 square meters. A summary table that was compiled to reflect that the required lot areas, lot dimensions, inadvertently identified it as being not permitted. So there's sort of a conflict between the summary table and the language in the bylaw. Obviously, the language in the bylaw carries precedent over a summary table. So we just wanted to bring that so to make sure it aligns, so somebody quickly referencing that table doesn't get confused as to why can't I do that when they exist in our municipality. So it's a sort of a grammatical correction, and we're not introducing in terms of reducing lot area sizes or frontages. We're just simply using the language of the bylaw that currently exists. The second element of that is with respect to enforcement. Currently, the zoning bylaw can be enforced by the bylaw enforcement officer and the development officer. Currently, in our current scheme, you're looking at that person. So in terms of efficiency and being able to provide better enforcement, we are reintroducing building inspectors to have the ability to enforce the bylaw. They are obviously on site in some of these instances and are aware of the infractions that they could enforce, but they don't have the authority to do so. Therefore, they come back and it comes across to development officers' desks to basically investigate. So we're just looking at increasing enforcement services as well as just building capacity within our organization. Thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you, Mr. Colburn. There is a recommendation there. Councillor Luck.
Thank you, Your Worship. Through you to Mr. Colburn. More so just to pick your brain because you're the expert on this. It seems pretty straightforward. And I guess I was just wondering, I don't see any issues with the building inspector being given that power. I guess looking to you again for your expertise around any perceived conflict or perceived impact on relationships or anything that I guess wouldn't be kind of as obvious. Again, I don't see it, but this is not my wheelhouse. So I'm just wondering if there's anything that maybe in terms of risk of adding the building inspector or giving him that authority, would there be any kind of, I guess, just, again, perceived issue from maybe a resident's perspective. Again, I don't foresee it, but I just wanted to get your perspective on that. Thank you.
Mr. Coburn, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. Through you, Your Worship, to Councillor Luck. Thank you for the question. In terms of the enforcement side of things and conflicts or challenges with enforcing it, the building inspector has the ability to identify the issue, but also identify what the concerns and challenges may be. So because they have that ability in the zoning bylaw does not mean that given the circumstance, they actually have to. They can come back and express their concern to me as a development officer, and I can take it on, or I can designate another building inspector to address that particular concern. So it does give us, it increases capacity, but we have to recognize as well the situation and their ability to obviously be able to enforce it to the level that's required. Yeah, so that does exist in terms of, though it's not buried in the bylaw itself, it is the ability to be able to designate or delegate authority and responsibility is part of the act itself. Yep.
Thank you. Councillor Bigger, please.
Thank you, Worship. I move first reading be given to an amendment to bylaw number 038, a bylaw of the municipality of Quispamsis respecting zoning as outlined in amendment number 038-52.
Thank you. It's been moved by Councillor Bigger, seconded by Councillor Miller. On the question, please vote. Motion carried 7-0. Second reading. Deputy Mayor Scryer.
I'm sorry, Your
Oh,
Worship.
sorry, I thought you were
No.
putting in. Councillor Donovan, please.
Thank you. I'd move that council grant second reading to zoning bylaw amendment number 038-052 and direct the clerk to schedule this item for third and final reading on the regular council agenda of December 2nd, 2025.
It's been moved by Councillor Donovan, seconded by Councillor Thompson. On the question, please vote. Motion carried 7-0. On to item number 7, minutes of the previous meeting, November 4th, 2025, regular meeting. Councillor Bigger.
Yes, Your Worship, I move the minutes of the November 4th, 2025 regular meeting be approved as presented.
Moved by Councillor Bigger, seconded by Councillor Olson. On the question, please vote. Motion carried 7-0. October 30th, 2025, special meeting, moved by Councillor Olson, seconded by Councillor Thompson. On the question, please vote. Motion carried 7-0. Unfinished business. 8A, Quispamsis budget. We will ratify the budget for the formal submission. The budget has already been passed by council. This is to formally send this off now for submission to the province. So item number 1, proposed 2026 general fund budget, general operating budget. Deputy Mayor Scryer.
Thank you, Your Worship. Be it resolved that the sum of 38,637,827 be the total operating budget of the municipality, and the sum of 36,344,322 be the warrant of the municipality for the ensuing year, and that the residential tax rate for the municipality be 1.2599, and that the non-residential tax rate be 2.1418.
It's been moved by Deputy Mayor Scryer, seconded by Councillor Bigger. On the question, I'm going to go to the clerk.
Thank you, Your Worship. I just wanted to make, I think there was just a slip on the number. So I'm just going to reread the number.
Thank you.
38,687,827.
Thank you. Ms. McGinnis? On the question, Councillor Miller.
Thank you, Your Worship. First, I have to say I'm very pleased that after 4 years of increasing our taxes, that for 2026, homeowners will actually see a 0%, which is actually commendable. So I would like to truly thank the team around the table as well as the province. They helped us out with a little bit this year too. They helped out every municipality. This just wasn't a Quispamsis only one. And as you heard in the last few, I did have a couple of concerns, and the reserves, we've already talked about that. We're putting about 900K over and above the fire truck when we already have 2 million in there, and so we're going to borrow we're having record borrowing, so we're going to borrow at about 3.3 to 5% and put reserves of 1.2. That's a little bit challenging for me. The second item that I've talked about in the last is the continued costs from the regional service and regional facilities. It's almost 1.2 million. The vision is about 500,000. I'm actually aligned with that, and I was talking about that earlier today because I think a strong St. John is going to help us, and I think they're doing a great job. The one that you've heard me talk about for many years, and some of you here, is the regional facilities. It's just under 700,000 this year, and it would have been more except we had a surplus in the Trade and Convention Center that knocked it down a bit. And I know we've already stated we're mandated for this, and we've talked about it a lot, but I also know that there is good news coming, or hopefully good news coming. We're looking at asking the capital removed from our regional facilities in 2027 and beyond. If it doesn't, and it doesn't happen, the capital and operating will go up just on the regional facilities, which has been my bone of contention for a while, about 1.5 million if that doesn't go away. I've already talked many times why I think they should not be regional. But I guess I talked about this a little bit earlier, that if we continue to disagree with the process but continue to pass the budget, it's kind of inferring that we're accepting the budget and the formula. And I know the province will mandate us to pay it, even if we said no. But I think that would create some other discussion as well. So I'm happy that we're doing the zero, but as per the above rationale, I just want to say respectfully that I'll be voting against the operation budget based on those two things. But that's my rationale. Thank you.
I would like to remind council that the budget has been passed, and it is understood that when council votes in favor of a motion, that we support that motion. So did we have we had it moved by Deputy Mayor Scryer, and it was seconded by Councillor Bigger, I believe. On the question, Councillor Olson.
No, I'm
waiting. Okay. Okay. Councillor Luck.
Thank you, Your Worship. I just wanted clarity on your comment. So I guess, can you clarify what you said about?
What I just said is that we passed the budget on December the 2nd,
Right.
and now we are voting to submit this to the province.
Right. So is council not allowed to share why they voted no?
Councillor Miller just did.
Right, but as other councillors, would that be our right to have that?
Once a motion has been made and passed, is it typical that people would still speak against it? What we're doing here this evening is voting just to send this forward. I don't think that after going through the budget process over the past number of months, that it's necessary to hear why somebody isn't voting for it. That you clearly explained why you weren't supporting it at the last meeting, and Councillor Miller had spoken many, many times throughout the budget process, and Councillor Donovan had voted against it. And so that secured your responses to what was proposed by the Finance Committee, also by the staff, their recommendations. So to discuss that now, it has no premise, or it has nowhere to go.
Right.
We passed the budget, just as the federal budget was passed last night. Doesn't matter if it was 170 to 168. The bottom line is the budget passed.
I guess in terms of process, because it's a motion on the floor, I just am clarifying if council has the
If
opportunity.
you would like to say something, I'm going to,
okay.
again, defer to the clerk to see if that is necessary, first of all, and if it is right for councillors to speak to it.
Thank you, Your Worship. So councillors can vote any way they want on a motion. It is, the mayor is correct. These are formal resolutions made in order to provide to the province. So, and that's basically it, really, is that you're welcome to vote either way you want.
Okay, and can you speak to the rationale why you're not voting a certain way?
That would be up to the chair.
And as I indicated, we've already voted on the budget, and it was clear, as I say, that Councillor Luck, you did have an opportunity to speak at that time, as did Councillor Miller, and as did Councillor Donovan in voting against it. At this point in time, we are voting on the budget that was approved and looking for a vote to submit this now to the province. So it was moved by Deputy Mayor Scryer. And Councillor Bigger seconded it. I don't think you've got that in there yet. On the question, please vote. Don't know. Motion carried 4-3. Once again, we're voting on the general capital budget approval to ratify the budget for formal submission to the province. The budget has already been approved. Deputy Mayor Scryer.
Yes, Your Worship, I move resolve that the council of the town of Quispamsis accept the 2026 general capital fund budget as presented with a total of $20,415,900 in capital expenditures.
It's been moved by Deputy Mayor Scryer, seconded by Councillor Olson. On the question, please vote. Motion carried 4-3. On the proposed 2026 utility fund budget, item number 1, proposed 2026 utility operating budget approval. Again, this is for formal submission to the province. Deputy Mayor Scryer.
Thank you, Your Worship. Be it resolved that pursuant to paragraph 117(4) of the Local Government Act, the total budget for the town of Quispamsis water and sewage utility for the ensuing year would consist of total revenues of $4,413,826 and the total expenditure of $4,413,826.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. It's been moved by Deputy Mayor Scryer, seconded by Councillor Olson. On the question, please vote. Motion carried 7-0. Item 8A, 2.2, proposed 2026 utility capital budget approval, again for formal submission to the province. Deputy Mayor Scryer, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. Resolved that the Council of the Town of Quispamsis accepts the 2026 Utility Capital Fund budget with the total of $4,915,000 in capital expenditures.
It's been moved by Deputy Mayor Scryer, seconded by Councillor Thompson. On the question, please vote. Motion carried 7-0. Thank you, everyone. Item number 8.3, policy number P 2025-006, development, protection, and application of financial reserves. Mr. Watson, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. Through you to the rest of council as well. Policy was included in your package. Rest assured, there's no intention on our part to dive into the details of the policy or to tear it apart or suggest changes at this time. What is important, though, for council to recognize is that given the fiscal constraints that have been alluded to throughout our discussions for 2026, we are recommending a phased implementation of the capital reserve policy. In fact, it's required by consequence of the decisions that have been made. So that effectively reduces our capital reserve contribution from just over 2 million that would be expected or anticipated through full application of the policy to 1.5 million. In both cases, recognizing that 587,000 of that is earmarked for our contribution to the fire truck. So I just wanted to make sure that council was aware of the consequential decision that is required here, just to recognize that this is the first year for this policy. I don't think it's unreasonable to expect, especially given the fiscal constraint for 2026, that we consider this a phased implementation. And so we're reducing the total contribution that would be otherwise expected under the policy. So we'd like to get that on the record and recognize that we would expect that full implementation would happen for the 2027 budget year. Thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you, Mr. Watson. Deputy Mayor Scryer.
Thank you, Your Worship. Whereas the current property tax assessment freeze, coupled with significant 2026 capital spending requirements, be it resolved that the council acknowledge their decision to reduce the expected contribution to the General Capital Reserve Fund in accordance with the development, protection, and application of the Financial Reserve Policy number FIN-P2025-006 to $1,478,760,000.
Yes, 1,473,760.
Oh, I'm sorry, correction. Thank you.
It's been moved by Deputy Mayor Scryer, seconded by Councillor Olson. On the question, please vote. Motion carried 6-1. And on that, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to thank staff for their due diligence throughout the process of formulating the 2026 budget, and certainly to our town treasurer, Leah Esty. Thank you for all of your work and the direction over your team, and to our CAO, Mr. Watson, for his leadership over the past year in bringing us to this point. So thank you for all of the hard work. And last but not least, to the Finance Committee for their dedication and time on developing a budget that will carry us through in 2026 with some great new adventures ahead of us. So thank you, everyone. And thank you to council for supporting this. Item number 9, correspondence. There isn't any. Item number 10 is new bylaws, and there are none. Item number 11 is new business. Item 11A, request from Councillor Olson, discussion on potential access between Route 1, Mackay Highway from Millennium Drive. Councillor Olson, would you please expand on that?
Thank you, Your Worship. Traffic has increased significantly since the installation of Millennium Drive, and I understand that it was looked at several years ago. But I'd like to propose that council support staff investigating again the opportunity of installing an access lane from Millennium Drive to the Mackay Highway in the vicinity of the Hazelton Drive and and what was that other street?
Just Millennium.
Yeah, off Millennium. Yeah, just so that it would sort of share the traffic access with the one access that we have right now, which is adjacent to the highway, the KV Fire Department number 1 station. If we could alleviate the volume of traffic going that full distance along Millennium and not interfering, but contributing to the congestion as we develop Millennium Drive, and that's going to develop significantly more in the next few years. But I'd like to see that supported by council to have staff review the possibility of a lane being put in from Millennium Drive to Mackay.
Thank you. I'm going to go to Mr. Watson first, and then I will go to council.
Thank you, Worship. Through you to members of council, I certainly invite our Director of Engineering as well to comment here. In fact, I had opportunity, with thanks to Councillor Olson for bringing it forward, had opportunity to consult with a local roads and streets historian, also known as our Director of Engineering. He was able to confirm that, yes, this had in fact been considered some time ago, and that at the time DTI had some reservations around the sufficient distances that were required for the nearby way station on Route 1. So I'll certainly defer to the Director of Engineering, but we can certainly investigate it if it's council's wish for us to do so. I would expect that would include some preliminary discussions with DTI to see if they have an appetite for us to consider it. If they did, then discussions with Rossay would also be appropriate, given that the border here is quite close and we want to have some discussions with them. And it's reasonable to expect that we would incur somewhere in the order of $10,000 worth of design fees in order to make a formal submission to DTI if they had an appetite for us to explore it. So, and then follow that with construction costs, of course. So with that, I'd certainly defer to the Director of Engineering for further discussion or expansion on those points. But certainly, if it's council's wish for us to do so, we could, recognizing that there's staff time and probably a $10,000 or so expense that we would be incurring as a result. Thank you, Worship.
Thank you, Mr. Watson. Councillor Miller, please.
Thank you, Your Worship, and thank you, Mr. Olson, Councillor Olson, for bringing this up. For those of us around a long time, we know that it used to go out by Superstore, and we'd have accidents there all the time. If I look at right now Millennium Drive on that side towards the highway, there is some empty spots right now. And if you look at what's been proposed, not just for Quispamsis, like the Kippers property, what we just potentially saw today, but even what Rossay's doing on the corner right across from Kent, you're talking increasing Rossay's population by 15 to 25%. That was their goal with all those spots. So I think it's timely that if this is brought up, it's brought up now while there still is empty spots along Millennium. And whether it's on the Quispam side or Rossay side, doesn't matter. You just got to look for how the traffic flow is going to be out there. But right now it is, and Mr. Beckett talked about it today, like when you go out in the mornings, for those that do have to go to St. John, I don't go very often because I work from home, but it's busy. Coming back, it's busy. We know it's only for 45 minutes an hour at a time, but as our population grows in this whole area, it's going to get increasingly more so. So it may not just be Millennium, it could be somewhere else as well. But then you also got to look at coming back, because you can easily at Millennium go into St. John, but if everybody's coming back through those same routes, we're going to be challenged again. So anyways, I do think if we're going to look at it, now's the time, because that could be 3 to 5 years away. But especially if the development goes as planned up in Rothsay. And we do know, I mean, in the last year, I was looking at our building stuff just before we're not into those reports yet, but we're at a record already this year and pacing more. And it seems like apartments are going up. And I do believe once we have water in more areas, we're going to see even more. So I think it's a timely request by Councillor Olson, and I support it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Miller. Councillor Bigger, please.
Thank you, Your Worship, and thank you to Councillor Olson for bringing this up. I also think, like Councillor Miller, I think it's timely, and I think it's frankly a very good idea. It's easy to see, I guess, in my mind, that with sort of a long road access, the staff are doing a great job with the work down at the sort of the east end of Millennium. But the traffic is very busy there, as we know, in the rush hours especially. And I can totally see the value of a westbound only lane ramp rather onto the Mackay Highway, Route 1 heading towards the city. And I agree with Councillor Miller about the timely nature of this. And I would just say, too, that I believe that not too long ago, quite recently, in fact, I think that DTI has announced a program that allows municipalities to appeal for funding assistance related to sections of, we all are familiar around the council table about municipally controlled provincial highways, but provincially controlled provincial highways, such as the number 1, I believe there is a funding program that's been announced related to assisting municipalities with the stretches of provincial highways that run through the municipality. And so perhaps this is one of those examples where we might be able to achieve some funding through that program. I believe that the minister for the department rolled that out just recently. So I just wanted to add that as well. But I appreciate the suggestion, and I certainly support the idea.
Thank you, Councillor Bigger. Deputy Mayor Scryer, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. And I guess my understanding of this is it's a ramp that will only go one way, like into town, not from town. Or I'm not quite sure what it is. So I guess I need to understand what it is. And I just want to point out that we, through the budgeting process, we did identify that in the new year we wanted to sit down, have a council discussion on capital plans, what our capital plans look like for the next 5 years, the short term and the long term. And I like the idea. I just wanted to see it placed with the whole discussion on our capital spending, what that's going to look like, because if we're talking both directions, we know this is a huge endeavor, like huge amount of money, and would need a big transfusion of funds from the province and everywhere else. So I just, I would want it to, what I would like to see is it go into the discussion of our capital planning that we're planning, not too many words in planning, in the new year. So that would be my only suggestion, that it go to the talks that are going to occur in the new year.
Thank you. And I think as Mr. Watson had identified, to check first with, I believe he's going to look at DTI before we get staff involved in order to determine whether or not that is going to be something that they will work with us. And now I will go to Mr. Loge, please.
Thank you. Through you to the rest of council, and I appreciate being called out as an old timer, I guess, by the CAO. But I don't remember that long ago. And some of the council, and I don't want to throw anybody under the bus, that was here at the time when we built Millennium Drive. We actually made a request, a joint request with the town of Rothsay at the top of Donlan Drive to do an access onto the Route 1. And what was being proposed at the time, to sort of build off of what the deputy mayor was saying, was actually an on-ramp coming in from Hampton. So you could only come in, make a right-hand turn, and going out was a right-hand turn onto the highway from Donlin Drive out onto the highway. And they turned us down at the time because of the proximity to the way station. So if we follow that same concept, we would want to be doing it at a location that is either, to sort of build off on what the Councilor Miller said, is less bothersome to the traffic. So you're either looking at an established intersection, Hazelton, Cedar Ridge, Concord, so that you can actually create a controllable intersection with a set of traffic lights. And my discussion with the CAO this morning was along the lines of, if we have to look at one of those intersections, now you're looking at site distances, you're looking at studies that will take into account traffic flow. But we also have the unintended consequence of, if we do put a intersection now at Cedar Ridge, Clairwood, or Cedar Ridge, Hazelton, or Concord, now all the traffic from the Hampton Road is going to go up to that, and that's going to be their shortcut to the highway. So now we'll have the unintended consequence of saying, okay, now we have got an increased level of traffic, speed, whatever we want to call those, the byproducts of population, and council should be prepared for that as a discussion item. So we don't want to be, we want to be cognizant of the fact that there's going to be a whole bunch of unintended consequences by doing this if it comes to its fruition. But it is a project that, as was mentioned by council and by our CEO, that should be the big picture as we do this. And the initial discussions will be, to Councillor Bigger's point, is this eligible under the Route 1 bypass funding? The Route 1 is, as we know, under the Gateway control, so it's a P3 partnership that may not be eligible. When we first read the document that came forward, it didn't appear that that section of highway was eligible, but politicians have been known to change their mind, and we can press forward on this. But for us, we, as our experience shown with DTI, either they will want a traffic study in advance when you make the request, or they'll want the traffic study as a result when they say, we'll do it, but you have to have so that's the question of, when do we want to spend the 10 grand ballpark? And if there's something that council feels that we want to undertake in this budget year, we can talk to Ms. Esty and see if she'll find some scraps under the table someplace, or we can incorporate it into our next year's program and do that at that time when the budgeting is less onerous. There's more money laying on the floor in our office than there is this time of year. So, as we can undertake it. I got just a little bit more direction from council. Is a preference to do it sooner rather than later. Do it when the funding is right. Have a few ultimately we do a few free phone calls to see what the process is. But there is going to be an outlay of cash that is not budgeted in 2025 that we should identify if we want to do this in 26. But that's back in the day when I was a supervisor of
Yeah,
engineering
whippersnappers.
services.
Thank you, Mr. Loge. Councillor Olson.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'd just like to highlight that as we, if this goes forward, and I think that it should, what it's going to do, it's going to improve the egress from all the subdivisions on that end of Millennium Drive. So as the locals move out to the highway, the other people that are their adjacent neighbors living across the road from on the Hampton Road, they will be able to migrate through that subdivision, and it's a consequence of growth. Nobody can live in a silo and expect benefits without having some contribution required. And I'd like to move that, Your Worship, that we initiate a review of that suggestion with just the general parameters that were discussed here tonight.
Thank you. It's been moved by Councillor Olson, seconded by Councillor Bigger. On the question.
What is the motion? Could I give the motion?
Yes, we'll read the motion again, please, Madam Clerk. You're on.
Thank you, Your Worship. Council directs staff to investigate the potential of an additional access between Route 1 and Millennium Drive.
Thank you. On the question, Councillor Miller.
Thank you, Your Worship. I guess just to reiterate, I think we should also look for ourselves, but also look for Rothsay, especially for some help, especially if you're talking about around Donlin. Donlin is half Quispam, half Rossay. And it's just because if it's a bridge going across, that's all in the province. If it's just going out, that'll be the discussion point on what the towns pay or don't pay. But I think between the two of us now, when I say two of us, Rossay and Quispamsis, we're going to be getting close to 40,000 in the next few years. So we're pretty big as a community. So it's just, I don't think it's all on us. I mean, we got to look at things, but if it comes into some financials, especially if it's right around Donelin, because I think technically the lights would then be in Rossay for Donelin. If we're doing it there, yeah.
Top third is Rossay, so it would be a Rossay satellite.
So the green light would be us, but the red, that belongs to us.
Thank you, Councillor Miller. Mr. Watson, please.
Thank you, Your Worship, and I might just suggest a friendly amendment to the motion to offer that the intent here would be for staff to be directed for a preliminary investigation with DTI and the town of Rossay as well as internally, and then report back so that we can kind of confirm our next steps after we have that initial.
Councillor Olson, you're good with that amendment? And the seconder is good with the amendment? Councillor Bigger, was that you who seconded that? Thank you. On the question, please vote. Motion carried 7-0. Thank you, everyone. Item 11B, review of the regional service delivery model, request for council feedback. So I am going to turn this over to Mr. Watson, and he can explain how this is going to roll out. Mr. Watson.
Thank you, Your Worship, and through you to the rest of council. As I'm sure all of council is aware, the province has announced a review of the Regional Service Commission model and has been working with a team of consultants to define the mechanisms by which feedback will be provided and then collected and reported back to government, with an intention of having that final report tabled with government by the end of March of 2026. And, as that's evolved over the last few weeks, I think it's become clear that there's really three forums for us, for contributions to come into this review model. One is meetings with the Regional Service Commission leadership, and by that I mean the consultants meeting with the CEOs of the RSCs as well as the board chairs. So that's one vehicle by which they're getting feedback. There's also been recent confirmation that there's an intention to have the CAOs of each regional service commission meet with the consultants as a group. So that would be one for us. Obviously, it would include me, but as well as my peers from the rest of the membership of the Fundy RSC. And then finally, there's an invitation for written briefs to come from each municipality, which is what was referenced in the meeting package you have tonight, and that the consultants have been quite clear that they're welcoming one submission per municipality. And upon further clarification, they're really not able to entertain individual interventions or meetings with either individual councillors or individual councils. They're recognizing that the volume of work before them is going to be such that they can really only accept written briefs at the council level. So I certainly defer to council's direction here, but it would be my opinion that we should absolutely be sending in a written brief on the matter. And my thought around that process-wise would be to solicit your initial thoughts through a survey response that I can put out to you probably as early as tomorrow afternoon. Send out to you for your thoughts and observations. I'd be happy to pull that together into a draft brief that would then be circulated to you by email. If it looks good and that you feel that I've captured your thoughts well and appropriately and completely, then we would let it stand. But if anybody had any reservations or wanted further discussion on it, we could certainly still have time to do that and still meet the December 31st submission deadline. So that would be my suggestion, but I certainly open to further discussion and happy to take council's direction on the matter.
Thank you, Mr. Watson. And again, this was generated by by ELG, and I know some would be disappointed that we don't have an opportunity to submit individually, but please, if you have concerns, as we've heard over the years, would you please make sure that you do take part in the survey and that your voice is heard, because it is extremely important. We want to make sure that if there are changes that might be available to us, that we can be a part of that to improve the delivery model that we are currently receiving. If there are any comments on that, Councillor Bigger.
Thank you, Your Worship, and thank you to our CAO for laying that out for us. I just wonder if there's any sense of need about, well, at least majority, if not unanimity, on putting forward thoughts as on behalf of our council and as such on behalf of our town. Is there a need for us to seek that as a group as we put forward something, or is this just, I mean, if the local government department is not wanting to or not able to receive, individual requests, well then, I mean, if we just compile one document of everybody's individual requests, I don't know that that's much different ultimately. And I wonder, how do we distill, perhaps the CAO has a thought about that, how we might distill some of the, I think there's a few common things that we've talked about. I won't bother going into them, of course, now, but a few common items that we've discussed at length. But perhaps there's things that might occur to me in the middle of the night or something, and I get up and write it down and think that's got to be put in there. But how do we know how to prioritize that sort of thing such that it has the requisite credibility as in the context that it's being offered to us, so that it doesn't just get dismissed?
Thank you, Councillor Bigger. And certainly, as your representative on the FRC, I want to make sure that your voices are heard. So regardless of what it is and whether the questionnaire or the survey that Mr. Watson sends out has a space for other concerns that may be outside of what the questionnaire is about, I just want to make sure that everybody's voice is heard. Mr. Watson, please.
Thank you, Worship, and thanks for the question, Councillor Olson. I couldn't agree more. My intention process-wise was that a survey to you would be one way of gathering the information that's important to you, and certainly allowing for free text to expand upon areas of particular interest or concern to you is welcome, and I'm happy to build that in. I think the offer I'm making is to attempt to distill all of that into a brief that synthesizes the thoughts and recognizes the commonalities, emphasizes those, but also cites the particular concerns of individual council members. So I'm not promising I'll get it right the first time, but I'm certainly willing to take a good swing at it by collecting all the information, attempting to synthesize it, share it with you by email. If you're happy with it, if we're all happy with it, then my suggestion would be that let it stand and we'll submit it. But certainly we could revisit it if anybody has questions or concerns about that effort on my part. Thank you, Worship.
Thank you, Mr. Watson. Deputy Mayor Scryer.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just thinking ahead a bit, we have a summit coming up with the Fundy Regional Service Commission. I believe it's in 2 days. Is it already? It's that quick. So I think if anybody, whoever is attending, it'll give us an opportunity to maybe read the room and hear a few more comments of what other people are thinking. I know I have some comments about social development and the role that it's playing within the Fundy Regional Service Commission, which, unless you sort of have to be there to know what's going on with that. So I think Thursday is a great opportunity for us to have chats with our colleagues. But at the same time, I want to make sure that everything that, that can be captured for you, Mr. Watson, because it is a lot. There's a lot of items that we don't deal with every day. We don't even know that it's an issue because we don't deal with it, and that will be the mayor's expertise and the CEO to figure those ones out. But I'm certainly the social development piece I have questions about on how it's being rolled out. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't see any further questions or concerns. And that was just for information, correct? Whoops. Item number 12, reports. They were included in your package for you to review. No comments on those. Business arising from committee of the whole. Oh, on reports. Councillor Bigger, please.
Yeah, my apologies for hogging the microphone here tonight, but I just would maybe just underline the report because it's not too often that it gets into the package on a meeting of the Transportation Committee we had on October 20th, and I would just direct the council's attention to that regarding the winding down of the KV Go service, as the mayor alluded to in her opening remarks tonight. And of course, there are a number of things there captured in that report about how we move forward, what it looks like it might do next. Of course, we're into kind of some data analysis here, and the non-rider survey. I always have trouble saying that one. The non-rider survey is ongoing again, as the mayor alluded to. So that continues to bring in some data that we might find useful. But you'll note in there as well that there is some allusion to kind of possible considerations toward how this might move towards being a permanent service, perhaps a second test phase. I say possible. We don't know exactly how that's going to play out just yet. We have to see where the data sort of sends us, for one thing. And of course, also you'll note that there's a reference in there to possible changes or enhancements that could be made to the COMEX service. And we could see in our mind's eye, perhaps, I'll speak collectively here so that I can't get kind of held accountable for any one thing, but we could see how perhaps something like KV Go and COMEX could work, sort of more together if we knew that KV Go was something that was going to be around for a longer period of time. I've had a number, I'll say, without exaggeration, a number of people contact me directly to ask, when the KV Go is returning. So already we have people who are eager to see it come back, and I'm glad to know that it's been useful and helpful and enjoyable for people. And of course, Rosse continues to be our partner in that endeavor. That being said, I just wanted to draw people's attention to that report. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Bigger. Councillor Thompson.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just on reports again, the Ritchie Lake Community Advisory Committee meeting for October. I'm not sure, but I think that's the first time that I've seen that for a meeting.
Yes, we've created a committee.
Yes.
And we've had a meeting already on Ritchie Lake. We do have people with science backgrounds who have been taking samples from the lake and looking at those to see how it's impacting the ecosystem. And I went out with them, actually kayaked out in the lake with them on October the 20th while we were pulling up some of the samples and so forth. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how this is going to help us to improve the health of the lake.
I'm just very pleased, actually, that the committee, the advisory committee, I read through what has taken place thus far, and at that point, and I'm very pleased with the advancement of the testing and all at Ritchie Lake, because it's a very important lake.
Indeed it is. Thank you very much. Ritchie Lake is our namesake. Continuing on, business arising from Committee of the Whole, there is none. Item number 14, adjournment. Councillor Olson, seconded by Councillor Donovan. On the question, please vote. Counselor Bigger. Good, good, good. Everybody over there, good. Motion carried 7-0. Thanks, everyone. Have a good night. See you tomorrow night at the tree lighting.